Welcome, welcome one and all. Winter Wizard here. And in this video, I'm going to be delivering a huge update for each of the factions here on Winter Wizard 7. Today, whoever you are, and welcome to this little video of mine where I'm going to be delivering a huge update for each of the factions here on Winter Wizard 7. It's cold and lonely here in Winter Wizard's Frozen Fortress, but it's coming up to about mid-afternoon. We've just made a nice cup of tea over there, Terran Gold, and I'm joined as always by my comrade and co-host, Norwegian Troll Dimmu, so this is going to be nice. We've got an absolutely huge video to make for you today. We've got so much to cover, so much to talk about, so I'm not going to beat about the bush too much. We're going to dive straight into this, and first off, I'm just going to explain to you what on earth's going on here. So what on earth is going on? Well, a few years ago, 2018 to be precise, in the month of March, because that's roughly around the time when my birthday is, I got back into the glorious hobby of 40k. And since then I've kept a hobby code of 1 army a year. However, this year I've decided that I'm not going to take on the huge workload of starting an entirely new faction, starting an entirely new massive project like that. But instead, this year what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the factions that I've already got, and I've got lots of ideas. You see, I've got loads of things that I want to do to expand on those collections, to create themes and narratives that I want to tell, so there's a lot of units that I don't have, which I would like for each of the factions. Perhaps I've maybe not got these units because I wouldn't anticipate playing with them that often, so they get sort of left behind. And as I start new factions and new armies and things like that, those units, they seem to sort of get left alone, you see, and end up sort of more focusing on buying the units that I know that I'm going to be playing with a lot, because, you know, this is it's not the cheapest of hobbies at the end of the day, so there is a limit as to what I can afford. However, there are lots of units out there which I perhaps don't have but would still really like to go, loads of themed armies that I would really like to create, and loads of stories that I would like to tell you, either via a audiobook style or perhaps on the tabletop itself. So that's what we're going to be doing this year. We're going to be expanding the armies that we've already got. We're going to be building up those factions and trying to create some of that lovely good stuff that I was just talking about. So that's the order of business today. So I wanted to do a really special video for you, as we are now in March. It is now the start of a fresh hobby year for me. So I wanted to do a very special video for you to give you a real treat, and to give you basically pretty much all the ideas that I've got and all the things that I've been thinking of. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So the order of business, as I said, I'm going to be talking about what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to be bringing out every single, just about every single unit that I own. I'm going to be giving you a full showcase here today of everything that I own. So I'm going to, for each of the different factions, I'm going to cover everything that I own, and then I'm going to talk about units that I don't have yet, but that I would like to add to the collection. Then I'm going to be talking about themed forces and stuff that I'd like to create with those. It'll make more sense as we go on. And then I'm going to do that for each of the 4 factions, and then after that we're going to clear all the table and we're going to start all over again, but we're going to talk about stories and narratives and more exciting goodness that I want to explore, because that's the stuff that I'm really excited about, and I think you're going to be excited about it too. I've got loads to talk about, loads of treats for you today. Oh, one other thing, we've got a very special character that has not been seen yet, but to be unveiled, and that's going to be, well, he's going to be a very important figure indeed. But again, we'll come to that. Like I said, loads of treats, loads of cool stuff to look forward to, but we've got an absolute lot to be getting on with here today. So that's enough rambling from me. We're going to dive straight into this, starting with, of course, the Drowned Plague. Yes, the Drowned Plague, my beautiful crusty crustaceans, my delinquent and delicious delinquents of disease and death that they are. How much I love the Death Guard, how much I love the Drowned Plague. So they were the army that I began with when I returned to the hobby in 2018, and so they're quite likely to be the army that I've got I've got the most stuff of, but I absolutely love the Drowned Plague. As you all know, I've gone for the sort of deep sea vibe with them. So we've got loads to be getting on with. So what I'm going to invite you to do is just make yourself a nice drink of something, sit down, relax, and what I'm going to start doing is bringing out all the different units that I've got for the Drowned Plague, and we'll take it from there. We're going to dive straight into this, no pun intended. We'll move this aside, and we'll kick it off with the HQs themselves. So it all starts with, of course, this chap here, Garglerot Deep, Swallower of Filth, Bringer of the Rotten Tide, and Drowned Demon Prince of Nurgle. There he is. So this is perhaps the model that really sort of made me known in the sort of world of YouTube and Instagram and stuff after I appeared as a guest on Striking Scorpion 82. So I do run him as a Demon Prince. He's a lot larger than he should be, but I just wanted to do something really cool, create a nice centerpiece model here. And the Roticus sculpt here, the head and the arm position, is one of my absolute favourite GW sculpts that there's ever been. So, and also, of course, the claw of Garglerot here, the crab claw. Got a whole video about how I taxidermied a crab claw and stuck him on his arm here, but there he is. Oh, you know what? This is something I've never done. I thought it might be interesting to tell you the names of all the Nurglings, because every one of these characters has actually got a little Nurgling attached to them, and I did in fact name them all. So Garglerot here, his Nurgling is called Drip, because he clings onto the side of him like this little drip. There we go. That's Garglerot and Drip. And then moving on, we've got, this is my Typhus model, which I've converted up with a pitchfork here, a trident rather, and giving him all these tentacles here coming out of him. So I replaced the Destroyer Hive with all these tentacles. So this, ladies and gentlemen, this is Lord Commander Tidus, Binder of the Demon Poseidon. So the idea here is that he's the host of this demon that's this like tentacle creature demon that's sort of living inside of him. And there we go. And his Nurgling companion here is aptly named Filth. So that's Lord Commander Tidus and Filth. Oh, and these two, they form a sort of duo, you see. Garglerot is the warlord, Tidus is second in command, but the two of them have always worked together. They work as a pair. That's kind of their narrative. And there we go. So we're going to move into some other HQ departments here. We've got, yes. So we've got Lord of Contagion here. This is Lord Contagion Maelstrom with his accompaniment here. This Nurgling is called Brine. There we go. And we'll do Gutrot Spume here. So this Gutrot Spume, this is the model that I did the Painting the Drowned Plague painting series on. So I broke it down and uncovered all the secrets of painting the colour scheme for this army, and I did it all on Gutrot Spume here. So nowadays I actually keep Gutrot and use him as a Malignant Plague caster. I, for some reason, have misplaced my old Malignant Plague caster model, so I use Gutrot here as one. But I really like this model. I do intend to get a little Nurgling on him, call him Jinx, I think. But that's Gutrot, and I use him as a Malignant Plague caster. Then, next up, yep, the final HQ, we've got Gurgle Grime here, the spawn of Garglerot. And this is another Demon Prince, but this one is Demon Prince with wings. And I absolutely love this model. This is one of the old Galapox infected models, Rogue Trader Galapox infected, the sort of Nightmare Hulks they were called. And this one was perfect. He's covered in tentacles and what do you call them? Barnacles and hooks. He's even got a wee fish there. And I did some mad conversions on him where I gave him this little fly swarm, and those are his wings. They pick him up and drag him around by the chains. But the idea is that all the demons have been grown inside of Garglerot, so somehow he grew inside of Garglerot and he's popped out. So it's Garglerot's son, essentially. This is Gurgle Grime, the spawn of Garglerot, Demon Prince with wings. So those be all the HQ options there. That's what we've got, and we'll move on now. We'll look at some of the Foetid Virion units. So these are the sort of the elite characters in the Death Guard collection. Absolutely love these guys. First up, Tolmund Surge, the Noxious Blightbringer, with his pet Nurgling, who I think I call him Nell, like the Death Knells of a bell, but I do often refer to him as Ding Dong, There he is. Tolman Surge, Noxious Blightbringer. Yes, we'll do. It was Tolman came first, I believe, and then the next one I got was Scribus Drench here, the Tallyman, with his Nurgling Scribbles. There he is, Tallyman, Scribus Drench. We've also got the Good Doctor and Plague Surgeon. This is Sergeant Spew, with his Nurgling Vomit. There he is. And this is actually my favourite character out of the voted very own units. I think this sculpt, this model, the Plague Surgeon, I think he's my favourite. I absolutely love him. But that's Sergeant Spew and Vomit. Then we've got, Foul Blightspawn, Miasman Ooze, the Foul Blightspawn, and his Nurgling is called Stench. There we go. Absolutely love this guy. And then last but not least, in the Photovirion units, we've got Petricus Flood here, the Biologus Petrifier. There we go. I have had some fun using this guy in games with all his grenades and stuff. Oh, and his little Nurgling there that is currently being squished, I named Syringe. Here's Petricus Flood. And those are all the Photovirion units, those are all the HQs there, so I'll show you some more. Let me bring out some more things now. So next up, we'll stay in the elites department. We've got a couple of squads here of the Blight Lord Terminators. Absolutely love these guys. Always have so much fun with these guys in games, and they're absolutely stunning models. Wonderful, wonderful, horrible Terminator goodness there. I do in general really like Terminators as a thing, and absolutely love the Blight Lord ones there. But so we've got two squads of Blight Lords, and we've also got the Scythes of the Abyss. Oh, that's right. So we named the Blight Lord Terminators in this the Carapace of Garglerot, and we've named the Scythes here the Scythes of the Abyss. And it's almost like, you know, the Blight Lords are for Garglerot, this Death Shroud are for Tidus. But there we go. So we've got squad of Death Shroud Terminators here. Absolutely lovely. That's all the elites actually, so we'll move now into the troops department. So into troops now. Now this is a squad that has not seen a lot of play recently, sadly, but they are some of the OG Drown Plague units here, and this is actually a squad of Plague Marines. Squad of Plague Marines. And this is some of the first Drown Plague models that I painted, so I was never actually overly that happy with the paint job on these guys, sadly, which is a shame. But there they are, Plague Marines here, led by, and I haven't said this name on camera in quite some time, but this is Sergeant Barnacle and his lads. Sergeant Barnacle and his lads, there they are. So it's a unit of Plague Marines. Like I said, some of the absolute original Death Guard models. I think it was a squad of Poxwalkers, and these Plague Marines were the first things that I ever painted getting back into this hobby. The first things I painted for the Drown Plague, the first thing I painted in 2018 coming back into the hobby, so there they are. Sergeant Barnacle and his lads. And for some more troops choices, so this is where the real tide, the real heart of the Drown Plague comes from, and it's with my favourite, and it still is my favourite unit in the game. I've always said this, but they really are, and that is my beautiful sweet slushy flesh bags that are the Poxwalkers, and I've got absolutely loads of them, but I'll take it a unit at a time. This unit here, so these were the very first models. The Sergeant Barnacle and his lads were the second unit I painted. This was the very first unit that I painted coming back into the hobby. And it was the Poxwalkers here. One of the reasons why I started Death Guard was, it was a small reason, but you know, it helped, was that I thought, well, if I paint them sort of a bit badly or a bit roughly, they'll probably look alright, because they're just, you know, gross and horrible anyway, and I can cover it up with all sorts of goo and stuff. But there we go. This was the very first unit that I ever painted. My lovely, beautiful Poxwalkers here, and so I've got 3 units of them. And I've painted them slightly differently to be able to tell them apart. And this unit actually, with the sort of khaki trousers, the black boots, and especially these black commissar jackets here. This squad was actually painted in the same colour scheme that my brother, the Major, paints his Astra Militarum. So the idea was that these had come from the ranks of his guardsmen, and I used to love reminding him of that whenever we played, but he probably didn't. But there we go. So that's the Poxwalkers. We've got a squad here, a squad of 20, and another squad here, another 20. There they are. These ones slightly different in colour scheme. Well, all the skin and all the tentacles and all that is the same. What I mean is I've painted the trousers in a different colour, so I painted their clothing differently so I can tell them apart. But there they go. There's another 20 there. Let's pop those up there next to Dimmu. And then another 20 again. Yeah, these ones with the orange trousers and the white sort of lab coats. And these were the most recent ones that I painted. And there we go. 60 beautiful Poxwalkers. As I said, always have been my favourite unit in the game. I always have so much fun, and this really is the true heart of the dust. The thing that I wanted the Drown Plague to be was just this unstoppable tide of these lovely slushy fleshy zombies. So there we go. So that's all the troop choices that we've got. One other small thing that we've got is over here. We've got some. These are the little sludge grubs that I made. Now these are sort of the Gellerpox infected models. They were called. I forgot what they were called, but I've referred to them as the sludge grubs. No, I think that is the name, sludge grubs, and I called them grublings. That was it. But again, what I used these for was, these were supposed to be nurglings. I wanted them to be these sort of demon wormy things that again have been grown in the bowels of Gargle and I was using them as nurglings. So again, I've got a whole video about those that you can check out on the channel. But there we go, 2 squads of grublings there to be used as nurglings. So those are most of the troops, elites, HQs there, and now we're going to be moving on to some vehicles. So we'll kick off with the fast attack department, and again some of my favourite units, the demon engines in the Death Guard. I just absolutely love them, absolutely love using them. But we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3 voted bloat drones here. There they are, absolutely beautiful. Plague Spitters, of course. I'm humble to the Plague Spitter. I love the Plague Spitter. That's the only way that I could run them. I do like the Flesh Mowers. I think they're very fun, but I've always gone for Plague Spitters, and it's just one of my favourite weapons. So, Plague Spitters for me. And not only 3 drones, we've also got 3 Mephitic Blight Haulers. There we go. 3, of course, is the second sacred number of Nurgle after 7, so I just had to have 3 each of these. So there we go. Those are the fast attack. And then moving on into the heavy support department, what I'm going to do is just move these aside a little bit, create a little bit of room here. There we go. Moving into the heavy support, we've got 2 Plague Burst Crawlers here. Again, just absolutely love these models. They're so much fun to use in game. They're just the epitome of disgusting and resilient. I absolutely love them, and the sculpts are just beautiful. So I've got 2 of these. I did run them originally with Plague Spitters, and I was using them very aggressively, throwing them up the board, throwing them in the enemy's face, and getting them really stuck in there. But they are carrying the entropy cannons at the moment, and the reason for that was it was all to do with the points changes. There was a time where I was able to run the drones, the burst crawlers and the blight haulers all together, and I was using the haulers for the anti-tank and using the drones to be flanky, and this just to be an absolute in-your-face threat. But then with the points changes, I wasn't able to use all 3 of these, so I kind of had to make a bit of a decision, and it ended up being sadly the blight haulers lost out. Absolutely love them in game, but I just felt the need for the anti-tank capability to be on the real tough nugget chassis. And I really love the mortars as well, so these guys, they can just sit at the back, be an absolute pain in the ceramite. So yeah, so they've gone for the entropy cannons nowadays, and really loving them that way. So typically I would have these and the drones in a force, but so we've got 2 of these, and that's not it for heavy support. I do have one other unit, and it's this one. I've had this for a very long time now, and here he is. It's a defiler. It's a defiler, and I just had to get myself one of these. It's just the model, I think, is really cool. It really fitted in with that sort of drown plague theme, you know, the crabby theme. Looks like a big giant crab. It always annoyed me that it never had disgustingly resilient. If I ever use it in some narrative games, I might just run it with disgustingly resilience anyway. But I had to get one for the army. Just think they're really cool. I've had some really fun games and lot of success with it. But there we go. So this here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the full collection of the Drown Plague on the table for you. There we go. So, as I said, just absolutely love this collection. I absolutely love this thing, this force to bits. But it's not quite complete yet. There are still some units that I would like to get. There are still some things that I would like to add. So that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So what units would I like to add for the Drown Plague? Well, the one thing that really niggles me is that I don't have a 3rd Plague Burst Crawler. As I said, the sacred number of the second sacred number of Nurgle is in fact 3. So it makes perfect narrative sense to me to have 3 drones, 3 Blight Haulers, and 3 Plague Burst Crawlers. I don't think I'll be getting 3 Defilers. Just one of those is fine. But yeah, of the unique Death Guard units, the Demon Engines, I would like 3 of each. So I'd like to get another Plague Burst Crawler in here at some point. Terminators wise, it would make me very happy to have, and this is going to be a huge amount of work, but it would make me very happy to have 3 units of 7 Blightlord Terminators and 3 units of 3 Death Shroud Terminators. So I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. The next unit that I think I will actually buy is another squad of Death Shroud Terminators, and that's for a most recent army list that I'm working on. But I'm going to be sharing that with you at some point in the hopefully not too distant future. But yeah, so another squad of Death Shroud Terminators. I would really like to, and I don't know whether to. I'm a bit unsure about this, but I am contemplating basically buying a box of Plague Marines and redoing Sergeant Barnacle and his lads. Redoing the Plague Marine squad that I've got here. Just feel like I I can do a much better job of them now, but who knows? Maybe it's good to keep them as they are, to keep them, you know, that original paint job, to remind myself of where we've got to, where we've been. But yeah, that's something that I thought about, maybe redoing Sergeant Barnacle and his lads. What I would then do with this squad, not sure, but we'll see. I've looked at Death Guard Possessed, so I don't have any Possessed in here, so that could be something quite fun to do, because I imagine that we could do something very unique with that. I wouldn't want to just buy the standard Chaos Space Marine Possessed box. I'd want to do something much more befitting of the Drown Plague, so I'm not really sure what that would be. But that's an idea of something that we could do. Do a Drown Plague Possessed squad. That would be really fun. Also, there is one character that I really want, and I really would like a Lord of Virulence. So the new sort of, you know, Terminator HQ model with the flamer. Obviously, I really like flamers. Anything plague spittery, flamery wise, it belongs in the Drown Plague. So I really would like a Lord of Virulence. I've got some ideas of what I'm going to do with this chap, and yeah, I shan't say too much more about it yet. But yeah, must get a Lord of Virulence in here. And other than that, it'd have to be more Poxwalkers. So I did say that I'd be talking about some themed forces. So let me talk about some themed forces that I like the idea of maybe seeing on the tabletop with the Drown Plague. So themed and narrative forces, I really like the idea of having Tidus and his Terminators, you know, sort of like a Death Shroud sort of bomb. Gargarot with his Blightlord Terminators, something along the lines of that. I'd love to have, so yeah, like Gargarot and Tidus with a big Terminator themed force, just, you know, really heavy on the Terminators. I'd really like to create a little force which just has a huge focus on the Demon Engines. That could be really fun with the Lord of Virulence, you know, a real sort of Demon Engine heavy Lord of Virulence force. and I've got an idea. So I'm going to talk about this again in a bit, but I've mentioned that I would like to do some battle reports, and basically I am thinking and planning, you know, a long time ahead, you know, many years ahead. The things that I'm talking about in this video, you know, they might not come around anytime soon, but it's all stuff that I want to do and that I've been thinking of, and I'd love to be able to, for a themed force in a battle report, I'd really like to be able to put 140 poxwalkers on the table. So for some sort of narrative themed force with a never-ending tidal SWAT, you know, tidal horde of poxwalkers, 140 of them I think would be absolutely beautiful. So 140 poxwalkers. That would be fantastic for some sort of siege, but there we go. But we're going to move on now. That's the Drowned Plague. Again, I'm going to talk about some narrative stuff later in the video, but we've got so much more else to talk about here. So we're going to put the Drowned Plague aside, and we're going to bring out the Dark Forge. So we've had a good look at the Drowned Plague, and now we're going to move on to the second army. So this is the army that I started in 2019. This is the Adeptus Mechanicus. This is Forge Phobos, the Cult of Fear. It was upon getting all the Forge Phobos stuff out here for this video that I sort of realised the sort of monumental task that I've given myself today, bringing out every single unit that I've got. This is going to take me ages to get through this slot, but I hope you're enjoying the ride. But I really wanted to just give you guys and girls a real nice sort of treat, you know, just to see everything that I've got and all my thoughts and stuff. So anyway, we've got to crack on here. This is Forge Phobos. So we'll begin with the HQs, of course, and none other than the Fabricator General himself, Deimos Terron. There we are. So he's a Tech Priest Dominus, of course. He is the architect of he's the warlord of Forge Phobos, and there he is. So he's carrying his relic Volkite blaster here, which he has aptly named Flame. There he is. I just really love the cone head on the Tech Priest model here. But yeah, this is Deimos Terron with Flame there, the warlord of Forge Phobos, the Cult of Fear. And then next up we've got, it's a Tech Priest Manipulus model, but I do use him as another Tech Priest Dominus. This is Manipus Borg, the Master of Biosplicing. There he is. So he's the guy involved with who does all the tinkering and all the figuring out of the creating all the servitors, that sort of side of things, the sort of bioscience, the biotech, biosplicing. He does actually need a little bit of a repair at the moment, as his mechadendrites, he's got like these three long sort of snake-like mechadendrites wielding clamps and needles protruding there from his armoured belly. They've actually broken off, so I do need to fix them up, and I haven't managed to do that yet. But yeah, there'll be a couple of things here that might need a little repair or something like that along the way. But there he is, the Master of Biosplicing, the sort of second Tech Priest there, the second Dominus there of Forge Phobos. Next up, more Tech Priests. We've got an Engine Seer here. This is Titus Dreed, Tech Priest Engine Seer. There he is, responsible for the sort of repairs and stuff of the vehicles and that side of things. We've got, and this is a very important character, this is Arcus Covart, the techno-archaeologist of the Forge, rather. This is a Daedalosus techno-archaeologist, again, from a Blackstone Fortress model this was. So I was so happy that the archaeologist made its way into the new codex as a datasheet on its own. Yeah, I was so pleased to have picked one of these up. So this is techno-archaeologist Arcus Covart. His job really is to go out venturing across the sort of galaxies and stuff, to go investigate and searching for all these dark technologies. So Forge Phobos is study fear as a technology and as a thing in itself, and they hunt and study the darkest and most feared of technologies, the most dangerous of stuff, and they also hunt and study and they study fear as a technology in itself. I hope that makes sense. But Arcus is the one, he goes out on his own looking for all the gear, and then he reports back to the Forge when he's found something, and they send him the resources that he needs. So that's Arcus Covart, techno-archaeologist there. And then last character that we've got, the last HQ, it is a Skitarii Marshal, and this is Gellet 49 Gloom. And he's the martial leader of the Skitarii forces. On the battlefield, he represents Dymas Terron, and he gets the job done. There is a beautiful sculpt here by Games Workshop, one of the latest additions to the Skitarii range, to the AdMech range. Gellet 49 Gloom, Skitarii Marshal. So those are the main men, those are the characters. I absolutely love every single one of them. So now we're going to move on to look at some troops choices for Forge Phobos. So one of the mainstay features of Forge Phobos is the more rangery, sneaky side of things. So we've got some little sniper teams, some little ranger sniper teams here. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 of those, dropping them all over the place. 4 little sniper teams there, and this is the way I like to run them. Sneaky little teams hiding in the shadows, sniping away. They've all got their numbers on them as well. They've all been appropriately coded here. The squad is number 65 with the plain skull on the alpha there. I was thinking about zooming in and showing you everything that I've got as well, you know, doing some real nice close-ups, but it just would have taken far too long, and that's what the showcase videos are for anyway. So this is sort of an overview of everything that I've got. But there we are, some sneaky sniper units here. Squad 14, and squad 27, squad 43. Yeah, and squad 65. So those are the sneaky sniper teams, but more troops along the way here. We've got some Vanguard here. So these are the sort of blunt fighting force here. We've got 3 plasma calivers in there, and all the radium carbines. So a nice big squad of the Vanguard there. There's an Omnispecs in there too, that's squad 32, and another squad exactly the same, another squad 32, not 32 models, that's just the number on the side. There's the Marshal with his Arc Maul and the Omnispecs in there. And then I haven't used these guys in quite a while. I much prefer the I do really like these models, but I prefer the playstyle of the more sneaky rangery stuff, and that sort of lends itself to the sort of the playstyle and the thematics of Forge Phobos and how they wage war. But there we go. Those are some Skitarii basic troop choices here, but we've got lots of other meatier troops choices to bring out for you here too. So those are the brittle Skitarii, but we've also got some chunkier Servitor troop choices here, and this is the Cataphron Breachers. I just absolutely love these guys. I wanted Servitors to be a nice feature in Forge Phobos. Just the concept of Servitors is a very horrible, very grimdark, very nasty sort of vibe, and it's just absolutely perfect for Forge Phobos. But there we go. I've got 12 Cataphron Breachers in total here. If you did watch the audiobook style narrative video that I did for Forge Phobos called "The Price of Acquisition and the Interrogation of Inquisitor Alistair," then you'll know that spoiler warning. So you'll know that Inquisitor Alistair did become a Cataphron Servitor, and so he is in fact one of these models, and I shan't be telling you which one he is, because that's the point is that he was supposed to disappear into, you know, he's nothing but a servitor. He was supposed to disappear off the face of the earth. So I have marked one of these models in a very subtle, specific way so that I know which one it is. But I rarely ever tell anybody who it is, because the point was he was supposed to disappear. But just a nice little nugget of nice little Easter egg there for you, that one of those servitors is in fact the good Inquisitor Alistair. Well, there he is, Cataphron Breachers, and we've got some. Oh yeah, so we'll move on to some elites choices now, because I've got some other servitors to bring out. So some other servitors, there is a little conversion tutorial on my YouTube channel called Living Dead Servitors. So, and that is what these guys are. just your bog standard servitor units here. Normal servitors with servo arms, and I used a box of miniatures from WARGAMES called Living Dead Peasants, and I created these really, well, I absolutely love them. These really creepy little servitor models here. Just look like some sort of weird Living Dead little creatures there. Again, just trying to play into that sort of horror theme and the creepiness of it all. But then we go some more servitors there, just basic servitors. They can be really handy in game for actions, or a little bit of bodyguard duty or things like that. But so that's us branching out into the elite side of stuff. We're going to take a little look at some harder punching elite choices now. So sticking with the creepy theme here, I wanted to bring in some electro priests into this army, but I wanted to do something a little bit more unique with them, create a little bit more of a unique Forge Phobos Cult of Fear vibe. So I ended up getting a hold of some Negavolt cultists from, again, Blackstone Fortress, and these are my Fulgurite electro priests. And they're absolutely beautiful models with the tentacles coming out of their heads and these like weird power packs stuck in their back with the two staves. So these, I use them as the Fulgurite electro priests, and this is the 13. So I run them always exactly as a unit of 13, never any more, never any less, and I will not change that. This is the 13, the priests of fear. There they are. Absolute ferocious unit in game. Awesome fun. Absolutely love these guys. Love the vibe. Love the feel. And I really love these models. I do like the standard Electro Priest models that GW do. But again, just wanted to create something a little bit more unique and introduce a little proxy whenever I can, you know. So there we go. So the next unit we've got, and I've had these a very long time, but they haven't seen a lot of play in game, sadly. But I still really love the models. Still really love the unit. I've got a unit of Rust Stalkers here. So those guys are really, really cool. Do really like the Sicarian stuff, the Rust Stalkers and the Infiltrators. I think I always preferred the Rust Stalkers, but I don't have any Infiltrators. I may get some at some point, perhaps. There we go. Unit of Rust Stalkers there. And these guys over here, which I absolutely adore. This is the Cerberus Raiders. So again, playing into, and it was a toss-up between going for the Vanguard ones, you know, the Sulphur Hounds, or sticking with the more, you know, the hooded Ranger-esque Skitarii feel, and that's the feel that I really like for this force. So that's the way I went. There we go. Cerberus Raiders here, absolutely stunning models there. They're just so damn cool. Absolutely love them. But we've got 9 of those in total up there. They're such great fun. Such great fun. There we go. 9 of those. And the next thing that we're going to bring out, some more sneaky stuff. So along with the Raiders, with the Cerberus Raiders over there, we're now venturing into the fast attack department, and we've got some of the Taraxi units. And we've gone for the sterilizers. I do very much like flamers. And these models are absolutely beautiful. When they first came out, it was a bit of a toss-up between getting the Taraxi or the Cerberus units over there. I did end up going for the Taraxi, knowing full well that I'd probably end up getting both at some point anyway. But yeah, I felt like playing with the Taraxi. But there we are. So we've got 10 Taraxi sterilizers in total up here. These are absolutely so much fun to use in game again, and they're absolutely beautiful models. They're quite fiddly and they're really hard to store, but they're absolutely beautiful. Yeah, have a wonderful time with those in game. But there we go. So those are all the sort of sneaky clandestine units that we've got. The fast attack over here, a bit more sort of elite stuff there. The Cult Mechanicus, the Servitors, the Skitarii, all the HQs there. But we've got more stuff to bring out as well. Oh, staying in the fast attack department, I'm going to bring out some what I like to call the initial shock attack of Forge Phobos. So the way I like to envision it is when the opponents are met on the battlefield by Forge Phobos, there's nothing to be seen, there's nobody around, and they're met by this strange, like, swirling mist of black smoke, and they're a bit unsure what's going on. It all seems a bit precarious, a little bit and then all of a sudden out of the black smoke rages this absolute shock attack battle line of Sidonian dragoons, swirling in their incense clouds and taser lances crackling. There they are. So I absolutely love that idea of Forge Phobos. They're like the shock attack thing that sort of holds the enemy down. It's almost like a suicide charge, knowing full well that their duty really is to not necessarily survive, but to just hold the enemy back and keep them further at bay for as long as possible until they're backed up by the servitors here and the snipers coming in from different angles. Oops, snipers coming in from different angles, and the sneakier stuff flanking and deep striking in and you know, causing disruption and all that sort of stuff. So that's the idea. So I've got 6 dragoons here. It was an absolute right pain in the ceramite to get to paint all of those and build them all. Let's just start losing my mind a little bit, but I wanted 6. I just think they look absolutely amazing. So there we go. There's only one more unit to bring out, and that's in the heavy support department. And so for the heavy support department, we've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3 Honor Gadoon crawlers here. I can't seem to. As you can see, this is a massive collection. I'm struggling to get it all on screen here, but there we go. 3 Honor Gadoon crawlers with the neutron laser. Absolutely love those things as well. But yeah, just what a beautifully cool model this is. You know, it actually was, when I got back into the hobby of 40k, it was in fact the Skitarii units, things like the Skitarii, the Dragoons, the Breaches, and especially the Doom Crawlers. It was these kind of models that really made me want to, that really hooked me and really wanted me to get back into this hobby. And then it was originally a decision whether to go for Death Guard or Skitarii, because I really like the Death Guard stuff as well. Just so happens that I felt like they'd be slightly less intimidating paint and challenge, and I was able to find some good deals with them. So it ended up being Death Guard first, but it very almost could have been the Admech first, because it was really the Skitarii Warriors. I really absolutely loved those. But there we go. So this is it. This is Forge Phobos. This is my whole collection right here. Yeah, it's absolutely sprawling, it's absolutely huge. I still absolutely adore this collection, and there are still units that I want to get. I'd like to maybe get another box of Cerberus Raiders up there. I think I've got enough Dragoons, I think I've got enough Doom Crawlers. I could maybe see myself getting another squad of Breachers just to, you know, just to pump that up just a little bit, but it's probably not necessary. But units that I definitely would like to get, I'd really like to get one of the planes. I really like the Archaeopter Fuselage, actually. The one that drops the bombs. I think that would be really fun, really cool, just flying over the top, being annoying. So I'd really like to get one of the planes. I'd quite like to get, I think I'd like to get some robots, you know, the Castellan robots. I think they'd be really fun as well. They're not my favourite models, really. I think I'd like to maybe do something to change the heads around, or at least maybe, you know, put like a transfer or something on the sort of domed head. But yeah, maybe some Castellans as well. Other than that, I'm not in a huge rush to get a load of more stuff for Forge Phobos here. Not because I don't like him, just because, well, I feel like I've got quite a lot already. Oh, but saying that, now I have been toying with the idea. I was wondering whether to bring it up, but something that we could maybe do in the future is perhaps incorporate a little force of Questorus Mechanicus, you know, a little force of Imperial Knights. So no Skitarii, no Admech forces complete without at least a knight or two. So, and you know, and in the old codex, they used to be involved in the same book. Not anymore. So I don't know if and when I would commit to that, but it has been an idea. We could in fact get a little detachment of some knights going for Forge Phobos. I feel like Dimas Terron would probably want that as a resource in his toolbox. So there we go. So we could get some knights, but other than that, for some themed forces that I'd like to create with Forge Phobos here, I really like the what I talked about earlier, Arcus Covert. Techno-archaeologists going out, looking for, you know, digging up treasures and looking out for this for these tech that they fancy, and so they're like little forces. They're like his little hunting forces essentially, which I feel like would be very breacher heavy. Lots of servitors, maybe some robots to back them up, but sort of slow foot slogging Skitari. Slow foot slugging Cult Mechanicus style stuff initially, just to be sort of like his meat shield, his bodyguard. He's really the only one in charge there, but we could back him up with some Vanguard and stuff. They're supposed to be getting, you know, Tomb Raider style. They've got to get in and get the job done dirty, and so I quite like the idea of his little hunting force there. Also, I do in fact actually have a Belisarius core model, and you know, it's just occurred to me that while I was doing the Drowned Plague, I completely forgot to tell you that I've got a Mortarion. But the reason why I forgot is because he's not here. So Mortarion's not here. The Archmagos himself, Belisarius Call, is not here. They are currently living in a little showcase cabinet at Bristol Independent Gaming. But I do have Belisarius Call as well, the Archmagos. So I do quite like the idea of creating a little Archmagos escort force as well. Belisarius, he's donned himself in the robes of Forge Phobos because he's being all up to no good, up to sneaky stuff. So a little detachment of Forge Phobos are there to back him up. So perhaps what kind of escort force would the Archmagos have? But those are just a couple of ideas of some themed forces. So we're gonna move on now. Still lots to cover, and we're going to move over to the Sons of Russ. So now we move on to the third army on the channel, and as I've said many a times before, I don't have a favourite army of my own. I favour them all for very, very different reasons. But if I had to pick a favourite faction in the 40k universe, it would indeed be the Sons of Russ. It would be the Space Wolves. I absolutely adore these guys. Absolutely adore them. I really, really do. So I've had a wonderful time building a collection of Space Wolves. So here they are then, the third army, the Great Company of Frostpaws, the Volka Fenrika, the Mraz Tlapki. There we are. So we're gonna bring them out now, starting with, of course, the HQs. And so we'll kick it off with, of course, the main man himself. How could we not? This is Mjolnir Thunderhowl, the Jarl of the Great Company. There he is. So this is so in game he's used as an Arjak Rockfist. That's an Arjak Rockfist model, but what I do is sometimes I like to use these, use the named characters that already exist, but use them as an archetype to create my own characters around them. So this is not Arjak, this is Mjolnir Thunderhowl. If you've listened to the Saga of the Thunderhowl, my narrative video about the Space Wolves, you know all about him and how the company came to be, and why they paint their fingers in black. There we go. So Mjolnir Thunderhowl, the Warlord. I absolutely love him to pieces. I really do. Oh, he's in the way in game that he has a big hammer which he can throw. This is sort of my nod to Thor in Norse mythology. So I've got a few nods to different players in Norse mythology, and this is my nod to Thor. But there he is, the Jarl himself. Next up, we've got, this is my nod to Odin. This is Gandir Stormcrow. It's also a nod to Gandalf, obviously, in Lord of the Rings. Gandalf or Mithrandir, smash them together, you get Gandir. But there you go. Gandalf was also known as the Stormcrow here and there. So there we go, Gandir Stormcrow. He's the rune priest of the Great Company of Frostpaws. He's used as a Njal Stormcaller in game. There he goes. That's my nod to the wise Odin. And then one of my absolute favourite characters that I've ever created. This is my nod to Loki, and this is Floki Firemane. Floki Firemane. There he is. This is the Wolf Priest of the Great Company of Frostpaws. So the Rune Priest, that's your librarian figure, and your Wolf Priest, this is your chaplain with some apothecary duties thrown in there as well. So as the Wolf Priest, he's a great teacher, a wise orator. He's a wise old wolf, is Floki, but he's a bit mischievous too. So he's my nod to to the Loki character, and he is actually a Lucas the Trickster conversion. So I started with a Lucas the Trickster model, and I gave him a Crozius here. I gave him a melter gun here called the Breath of Morkai, and there he is. He's one of my absolute favourite characters that I've ever created. So there he is. Floki Firemane, that's my nod to Thor, to Odin, to Loki there. And there we go. Those are the three main men in the great company of Frostpaws. That's what it's all about. But we do have some more characters. We've got some dreadnoughts here, some ancient dreadnought berserker type things here. So we've got Bjorn the Fell-Handed, or as he's known in this army, this is not Bjorn the Fell-Handed, this is Ragnarok Blizzardhand. Ragnarok Blizzardhand, there we go. So he's got, so as I said, I use him as a Bjorn. I've thrown a few extra bits on him, made him into my own character, but there he is. That's the Blizzardhand there. Ragnarok here, and he's currently holding his multi-melter here, but if we pop that out, I do have a las gun over there as well, so he can have his las gun or his multi-melter with the underslung flamer there. But there we go, Ragnarok Blizzardhand. Oh, something I've just seen it here, something you'll notice on this army, they've all obviously got their fingers painted black and a knee plate painted black as well, if possible. They also all carry the signature black scabbard combat knife of the Frostpaws there. So every single model, including the dreadnoughts, with the exception of things like drop pods and Fenrisian wolves, every model that it makes sense to is carrying a combat knife. I mean, he's not going to be using it anymore, but you know, Ragnarok now in his sarcophagus, that would have been his knife there anyway, so he keeps it on the dreadnoughts. But there he is. There's Ragnarok Blizzardhand, and we've got another dreadnought character here, and we've got the Mad Nutter himself, Ivar the Bone Taker. There he is. So, and he's used as a murder fang. He's got his knife in there somewhere, but he's just absolutely covered in bones. He is the Bone Taker after all. I just absolutely love this guy. He was inspired by, I watched the TV series called The Vikings, and Ivor the Boneless in there. He's an absolute nutter. So I wanted to name a character after him, but instead of being boneless, well, he's got a few too many bones. So, and a bone to pick with you as well. Sorry, couldn't resist. But there he is. So that's Ivor the Bone Taker, the Mad Wolf and Dreadnought, used as murder fang in game. There he is. So absolutely love the characters here that we can create with the Space Wolves. And there we are, two Dreadnought Berserkers and the three main heroes themselves. So moving on into the troops choices now, we come to the young bloods, we come to the new initiates. This is the Blood Claws. So we've got a nice bunch of Blood Claws here, the young pups. Absolutely love these guys to bits. And beauty about Space Wolves is that Wolfguard Terminators, they can come along for the ride with the basic troops as well. So there you go, there's an additional Terminator here. Now typically these days I do run, I like to run a big squad of them. Typically a squad of 9, something like this, and they tag along with Floki there, and they go down in a drop pod, which we'll bring out in a little bit. But we do have the means for an additional pack leader here. This pack leader here. This is Matthias Ironbrow. He took a plague flail to the face and survived. So Ironbrow. But this squad over here, these guys here. These are, if you watch the Saga of the Thunderhowl, it's these 5 models here, which are in actual fact the Blood Claws that were featured in that video. Sorry, these 4 here, and they are named after the band members of my favourite band, Winter Sun. Here we got Yuka Deathmane, we've got Yari Little Dreamer, we've got Timu Trollhammerer, and we've got Kai Summer Breeze. But as well as that, Winter Sun these days, they do have an additional member, so we've also named this model here. This is Asim Finehair, named after him. There we go. So that's Winter Sun there, but my Blood Claws here, my beautiful Blood Claws, there they are. And like I said, they like to stick with Floki. Floki keeps an eye on them, teaching them his ways. But there they are, some Blood Claws there. And that of course takes us to the Grey Hunters. Here we are, the guys who've been kicking around for a while. Here they go, so we've got 2 units of these. 2 units of Grey Hunters. Again, some with names. I do actually. I don't know if I should be ashamed of this, but I do know. I know them all by face. I know what squad they go into by their faces. Their pack markings are all the same. Grey Hunters on. But yeah, I know who they are by their faces. That's the squads that they always go in. It's those guys and those guys. We do have a few names in here as well. We've got the Bane Shield here. Ulfgar Bane Shield took the entire complement of a super heavy Bane blade on his shield. The last shot did slay him, but it thus saved the squad. What a hero! And that was his saga. Ulfgar Bane Shield. There he is, and there they are. That's his squad here. Are there any more names in here? Nope, that's it for names there at the moment. I'm sure some more will come about at some point. So I do, I absolutely love the fact that, you know, I keep an eye on all the models in game, and if something really cool happens to them, or if they do go above and, you know, if something pretty epic happens to them, then they can earn themselves a name. So, like the Bane Shield there, so that's what happened there. Some names I already come up with, and others are actually earned during the game. And the Bane Shield here is one of them. Bane Shield, Matthias Ironbrow, I think I said Brow earlier, it's Iron Frown, sorry, Iron Frown over there. So both of those named during a game, so absolutely fantastic. But there we go, 2 squads of Grey Hunters here. So we'll bring, those are all the troops I've got. We'll move onto some Wolfguard. So Wolfguard now, the real hardiest warriors in the Space Wolves. So we've got now. As I said before, I absolutely love Terminators. So I love the idea of a Terminator themed Space Wolf force here. So all the Terminators sprinkled in the squads here. Some of the main characters there being Terminators, like the Jarl, like Gandir over there. So I just absolutely love Terminators. So I wanted my Wolfguard. I didn't want to go down the jump pack sort of route really, so I wanted to go Terminators. There we go. So a squad of 5 here with Thunder and Lightning. Thunderhammer on the leader, Lightning Claws on the others. That's the way to do it, if you ask me. We've got another name here. This is Sigurd Dawnhammer. Again, he standing up to a Chaos Knight, all on his lonesome there, during a game again. Sigurd Dawnhammer, and we've got another squad over here as well. Thunder and what will be Lightning. These guys are currently missing their weapon arms because I'm in the process of kitting them out with some Lightning Claws. What I did do is actually they were holding melters before. I'm trying out a few different things, changing some stuff around, and I did just glue their arms on with just the tiniest dot of super glue, so you can just literally just snap it off, and there we go. So I'm currently kitting them out with some new arms. So those are the Wolfguard Terminators. We've got more Wolfguard here in the form of Thunder Cav. So Thunder Wolf Cavalry, again, Thunder and Lightning. We've got a squad of 3 here, led by Stefan Linebreaker. Again, another deed of legend achieved. Again, during a game with the mages. All the cool stuff seems to happen when the mages are around, you know. And there we go, and another squad here as well. So we've got 6 Thunder Cav in total, 2 squads of 3. I do typically run them as a larger squad of 5 or 4, led by the Linebreaker there. But I've got 2 pack leaders there if need be. But there we go. So some wolf guards there, Terminators and cavalry. So we're going to bring out some more wolfy units now. So we've got the lost souls who have fallen to the Canis Helix, you know, fallen to the curse of the Wolfen. There we go. Now, I think I've said it before, but some people, I know that some people really dislike these models. I think they're beautiful. I absolutely love them. I love Wolfen. I really do. I would use them more in game, but I get so passionate about the Space Wolves that they tend to upset me because I don't think that they behave how they should in the lore. And I know you can say that about a lot of things, but it really, for some reason, really frustrates me with Wolfen. I think they're far too fragile for what they should be. You know, you compare them to some other units that you know, of a similar ilk thing. You know, stuff that's like gone a bit mad, gone a bit too far down that crazy path, and they seem to have rules which these guys don't. You know, I won't go into it. If you would like to see a video about a few rants to do with the way Space Wolves operate in game, then let me know that down in the comments. But I much prefer to keep things on a positive view, but I do have a few little quibbles, which I'd be very happy to rant about if you wanted me to. But there we go. That's all I'll say about it. But I do absolutely love Wolfen. Love this squad here. I wasn't so keen on the sort of pre-mantis pose of the leader though, but I did change that around, and I'm much happier with this guy now. But yeah, I loved these guys. I loved painting them. Absolutely love Wolfen. Would like to get them back into some games. But as well as the Wolfen, we've got a few wolfy things in the form of just lots of Fenrisian wolves. So we've got, I'll put them out the front here. Squad of 5. There. Another squad of 5. And you guessed it, another squad of 5. There we go. I've got 15 Fenrisian wolves in total. There they are. 15 Fenrisian wolves. Now, typically, I do like to run them as cyber wolves. I know they don't have any cybery bits about them, but I like the profile. I think they're a bit tougher, and I feel like that's what a Fenrisian wolf should behave like anyway. So I like to run them as cyber wolves if I've got the points for it, or I'll run just like a couple of them in the game, just to help with some little sort of sneakiness and objective grabbing and a bit of screening. But yeah, so Fenrisian wolves or cyber wolves, 15 of those in total. So next up, we'll take a little look at some more heavy support choices, and we've got a few. It's going to be led by another character here. Just be rearranging there. Another character here. This is my Long Fang squad, and this is Odin the Red Axe. There he is with his Chaos Space Marine Red Axe there, which he took from a World Eater champion, and he's carried it and fought with it ever since. But there we go. He's the pack leader of the Long Fangs here. So there we are, some Long Fangs, a couple of las cannons, two missile launchers, and we've got a couple of heavy bolters there as well, and of course another Terminator along for the ride. There we go. So that's the Long Fangs. And so for a couple of vehicles now, we've got the drop pod here. And this is the party wagon for Floki and the boys. So I do like to put the Wolf Priest, Floki, and 9 Blood Claws in here, and that's how I quite like to get them to the tabletop these days. But, so that's the drop pod there, and of course we've got the absolutely beautiful. Don't know if I'll be able to get it all on screen, but the Stormfang gunship here, and this is just an absolutely incredible model. I just had to have one of these. They're absolutely beautiful. I love that thing. Love that thing to bits. There we go. Just about on there on the screen. But that's it. So those are all the units that we've got for the great company of Frostpaws. But what other units would I like to get? Well, it's predominantly I might think about maybe getting another squad of Terminators. Maybe expanding that area, maybe some more Wolfen or something like that. But the area of this collection that I really want to expand on is more the armory. So vehicles and things. So we've got the Stormfang gunship here. Oh, I'm not sure if I mentioned, but his the machine spirit's name of the Stormfang gunship is the Jaws of the Wind. So the Jaws of the Wind over there. I want to get a Land Raider as well. I would love to get a Land Raider Redeemer, the one with the Flamestorm cannons. That's my preferred choice. Flamers again. Just love the idea of filling that with Wolfen and sending it as like a suicide missile into the enemy lines. And they've got a Land Raider with flamers to deal with, and then all the Wolfen pour out. Just love that idea. I haven't named the drop pod over here yet. I need to think of one for that. But one of the other things that I would like to get, so got the Stormfang, got the pod, want to get Land Raider, and I'd really like to perhaps dip into my first purchase into Forge World, and this is so I've not really don't really have much interest in Forge World, to be perfectly honest with you. This is perhaps the single only thing that I've ever really wanted from Forge World, and really the only thing that I can see myself ever wanting to buy from Forge World is, and it's a Dreadnought drop pod. So I'd really love a Dreadnought drop pod. Really for Ivor the Bone Taker over there. So I just really love the idea of, because like I said, I like to deep strike Floki and the boys in the pod, and I just love the idea of Murderfang, you know, Ivor the Bone Taker here in a pod next door, bursting out, and I just love that. I love the idea that he's got his own little capsule that he's sort of like kept in. And, you know, they just drop him on the field where they want him to go and just let him go and do his thing, because he's a bit of a nutter. But, so yeah, so I might make a first purchase into Forge World and get a Dreadnought drop pod. Other than that, obviously we need somebody to look after and maintain the armory there, so I'd love to get myself an Iron Priest. So an Iron Priest for this army, because the company doesn't have one yet. So an Iron Priest, create another character there. Land Raider, Iron Priest, Dreadnought drop pod, and that's kind of the stuff that I'd really like to get for the Frostpaws. And as for themed armies, themed forces, I'd like to create yeah, the real heavy Terminator thing with Mjolnir and his mountain breakers coming down. Really like to go in heavy on the wolfy stuff as well. I spoke about the Land Raider filled with Wolfen, but perhaps like a running wolf thing. So like Floki and Ivor running the Thunder Cow, Fenrisian Wolves, Wolfen, that sort of stuff. So go for a real heavy wolfy themed fighting force as well. Oh, that's another thing. The one thing that I have contemplated, as you can see, this is a Firstborn only Space Wolves force, and that is very much the way that I like it. But I have contemplated whether to introduce a touch of Primaris. And when I say that, don't panic. I just feel like it might be quite fun to have like a single unit, but to create a bit of a story around them, to create a narrative around them. Perhaps like they weren't born into the, you know, they weren't inducted straight into the company. Perhaps there was something of lone wolves out there in the wilderness somewhere on one of the many sort of campaigns that we've gone through, and perhaps they've been picked up by the great company. They've bumped into them, they've met them, they fought alongside each other, and they've inducted them into the company. But if I was going to get a Primaris unit, I feel like I'd quite like to get maybe a squad of Eliminators, quite like the Hunters from Afar type thing. The Morkai's Teethbolt relic would work really well on one of the Eliminators' lead sergeants as well. So I feel like some Eliminators, possibly maybe Inceptors instead perhaps, I think could be quite fun, but I think I'm more drawn towards Eliminators. So we'll maybe do that at some point one day. So that's the great company of Frostpaws, and that's the Space Wolves. So we're going to move on now and take a little dive into the old ancient foe, and we're going to have a look at the Necrons. Okay, so moving on now, and we come to the Necrons, the fourth army on the channel, Khepri Dynasty. So this was the army that I started most recently in 2021. And so this is naturally going to be my sort of smallest collection at the moment, but absolutely love the Necrons. Have been absolutely loving building up the force, awakening all the units, awakening the dynasty. So we'll kick it off with some of the first creatures to perhaps be awake or to have awakened in such a narrative. Yeah, so we'll kick off with some canoptic units. Sort of slave automatons of the Necrons, caring for them as they sleep. And here we go. So a lovely group of scarab swarms here. Absolutely, really love scarabs. I've said it before, but I love the way these remind me of. Well, when I was a kid, I watched a film called The Mummy, and these sort of massive swarms of scarabs would come in and they eat people alive, and it was all very horrible. And it used to really frighten me when I was a kid. But I thought it was very cool, you know. So I thought I really wanted to run some nice big blobs of scarabs here. So I've got 3, 6, 9, 12 bases in total here. I do have some more. I do have a big box of unmade Necrons. Maybe I'll bring that out and show you what else I've got to work on after we've got the units out. But yeah, so loads of canoptic scarabs here. And some more canoptic units. We've got canoptic spider, who I've very fondly named Shelock. Absolutely love this model. One of the older Necron models, but really, really beautiful. Really love it. So much theme, so much character. So canoptic spider. And I've got a couple of plasma sites here who tag along with some destroyers. We'll see those in a minute. And a nice big Canoptic Doomstalker. Absolutely stunning model this is. Really love the War of the Worlds sort of vibe, sort of theme behind them. Very cool indeed. Awfully swingy in game, but such a cool model and very thematic. So really nice indeed. But yeah, so I think we'll bring out some destroyer cult units next. So start off with a nice squad of 3 Scorpec destroyers here. Absolutely stunning models, and another 3 here. Now what I did end up doing is, I didn't want them to all be in the exact same poses, so I didn't end up cutting the arms off, essentially, sticking them on swapping them over with the different bodies and giving them a different pose. So you can see the different poses that we've got going on here, with the same blades but stuck on a different body, different poses. And it was really simple to do, actually. Just literally just clipped the arms off, and with a bit of plastic glue, a bit of super glue, whatever, refitted them onto the other bodies. It worked out pretty well. So probably I do have quite a lot more of these unbuilt, unpainted. I would like to get quite a lot of those together. More on that in a bit. But when I do, I'll be trying to swap all the arms around and make them look a bit more, make all the squads look a bit more individual. But there we go. So 2 Scorpec destroyers, and they get their plasma sight each. And then we've also got a couple of Locus heavy destroyers, and I absolutely love these. It was interesting when I first saw these models. I thought, yeah, they're pretty cool, but they've really, but I wasn't like blown away by them. But they've really grown on me. I just absolutely love this model. I think they're really cool. It's a bit of a shame that GW didn't resculpt the original destroyer models as well. They only did these, but simply because you can mix this 2 together, the regular destroyers and the heavy destroyers. You can mix them all together, but it doesn't really look right with the old models and the new ones. They look so different, and these are so much nicer. So that's a bit of a shame. I would really love these to have a 2-up save as well. I feel like they're just a tiny little bit fragile for what they are without an in-bun save, but never mind. Absolutely love them in game. The guns are a lot of fun, and just really cool models. So I'd like to get, well, I'll talk about that in a bit, but those are the destroyer units that we've got. So we'll bring out some more of the sort of warrior style units now. So next up we've got some of your standard Necron warriors here. Just got 20 of them in total. Let's make some room here. Let's put these put the destroyers at the back there. Where are the plasma sites? So some Necron warriors going on here with the Gauze Reapers. Just really like the higher strength, the high AP. The range is quite you know, only 12-inch range. It's quite restrictive, but you know, I just like the idea of these marching up the board anyway, marching up, getting stuck in, just overwhelming the enemy, and then getting in nice and close and reaping havoc. There they are, some Necron warriors. If you've noticed, if you aren't aware of the sort of colour scheme of Khepri Dynasty here, you'll notice that all the Canoptic units were in the sort of sandstone colour, and the Necron units themselves are in the gold colour, with the touches of sandstone in there. And the reason for that is that the sands of Khepri are a very unique and very interesting kind of composition, and basically this dynasty they value science and knowledge above all things, and so they're very science driven. They've got some of the best science and technology around, and what they've done is they've worked out a way to basically use the sand of the planet itself as a material to create things like their Canoptic units, like their weapons, as you can see here, or their buildings, or whatever. So it's almost like it's a sandstone which is as strong as any metal or something like that. But that's kind of the idea. I really love the blend of themes here. I love the gold units and the Canoptic sand. They're almost like weapons in their own right. So there we go. So I love that sort of blend. But as well as the warriors, we've got some tomb blades. Yeah, just a little squad of 3. Very cool little units, these. Again, I've said it before. I always wanted them to actually have like some like blades here, like just a little something that they could actually fight with. But never mind. very cool little units there. Those are most of the sort of generic stuff that we've got. So we'll bring out some more unique things now. Yeah, so I said more unique stuff. I want to start bringing out some of the characters. I almost forgot though, but before I do that, I do have, it's because they've been sat on the painting desk. So they're not quite finished yet. There's some finishing touches to do, but I have been working on a squad of 5 Lich Guard, and I absolutely love these. These have rapidly become one of my favourite Necron units. I love the poses with the big shields, sword and board, of course. Just these like fierce elite bodyguards. I just think they're absolutely menacing. Again, they sort of remind me of the film The Mummy, when they would summon these like ancient creatures with their swords and weaponry to come out and defend. Yeah, it was just some clips in that movie. They keep taking me back to those films, and I think they're absolutely awesome. There we go. So a squad of Lich Guard, and they're going to be very important because they're going to be escorting the Pharaon himself. And as I mentioned previously, earlier on in this video, I do have the Pharaon. He is here, he is built, he is finished painting, and I am going to be revealing him today. This is the first time he will appear on the channel. But before we do that, I'm going to run you through some of the other characters that we've got here first. So first character to walk alongside the warriors, we've got a Royal Warden here. This is my Royal Warden. This is Montu Vok, the Statued Butcher. So I've been having I do take a lot of care, and I put a lot of time into thinking of the names for the characters, and this one has taken a fair bit of research. I've been spending a lot of time, googling like ancient Egyptian gods or things like that, and I believe Montu is the god of war in ancient Egyptian mythology. So this is Montu Vok, and I've really enjoyed being able to give them these. They've got the name and they've got the title afterward, the Statued Butcher. So I've been really enjoying thinking up these really sort of over the top, ostentatious kind of titles that I feel like Necron nobles would probably give themselves. They're a bit full of themselves, I suppose. So yeah, these really ostentatious names I really like it. So this is Montu Vok, the Statued Butcher, and he's the Royal Warden. I did actually swap his head around. He's got the head of, there was a made-to-order model called Lord Hazmatef, I think it was, Lord Hazmatef, the Resplendent, or something like that. I ended up swapping out, taking his head and sticking it on this Royal Warden here, giving him a bit more of a unique feature there. But there we go, that's Montu Vok, there to lead the ranks of the warriors. Next up, we'll bring out the Psychomancer. Yes. So Psychomancer, he's studying fear as a technology. Very, very beautiful model indeed. Absolutely stunning. Really fiddly to put together. Fiddlier than he looks, actually. I thought it would be relatively simple, but no, he was right. He was the right pain. But anyway, so my Psychomancer, this is Ferric Nu, the Formless Serpent. There he is, the Formless Serpent. So, Ferric Nu, there he is. And then we've got, next in the list of advisors, the Cryptex, we've got, this is Horuk Ra, the Scarab King. So this is the little, there's a video on the channel called A Scarab Cloak, Canoptic Scarab Cloak, and this is me taking a Technomancer and giving him a different sort of form of cloak here. So instead of having the sort of scarabby, it was almost a bit like a surfing board style thing. Instead, I wanted him sort of floating on a swarm of scarabs. So there he is, Horuk Ra, the Scarab King, my Technomancer with Canoptic Cloak. And one of my absolute all-time favourite models again that GW have ever done. This is Hipoktep, the Sand Seer. Hipoktep, the Sand Seer. So she's a Chronomancer, and yeah, and well, as I was saying, just one of my absolute favourite models. Love this sculpt. It took GW ages to put this one out for. I think I had to buy the Pariah Nexus box to get hold of it, but it's just absolutely stunning. So Hipoktep, the Sand Seer, Chronomancer there. And that's all the nobles and main characters that we've got, except for the man himself. Yeah, so I've been very, very excited to show you the model that I've got here. Now I wanted to do something really unique. I wanted my Overlord to not just look like every other Overlord out there. There's obviously similarities there. He still looks like, you know, an Overlord figure, but I wanted to do something really, really unique. So I got the Lord Hazmatef made to order, you know, limited thing Overlord box, and I took the normal Overlord, the one that's got the scythe sort of leaning back type thing, and I basically smashed those two kits together, and I added a little extra something of my own as well. And so I've created my own Overlord, and well, let's just bring him out. So this, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pharaon of Khepri dynasty. This is Abominar Set, father of Khepri. And how about at this point in the video, I do actually give you a little zoom in and show you what we've got here. And so here he is, Abominar Set, father of Khepri, the Pharaon of the Khepri dynasty, the most important figure there. He is the Overlord, he's the Pharaon, and this is what I've come up with. So you can see he's got the Lord Hazmatef pose there. And what did I do? I swapped out the head with the other Overlord kit, and swapped out the, what did I do? No, he keeps the orb from Hazmatef, and as you can see, he's got this very fancy weapon going on here. This is the Axe of the Crescent Moon, and I wanted to do something really unique with this weapon. I'll be using it as a void scythe, I think. But I wanted it to just be an absolute monstrosity of a weapon, you know, and it's actually made so it's got the Lord Hazmatef sort of shaft here of his sort of his staff of light, I think it was. But then I've taken some bits from the scythe that comes in the other Overlord kit. I've stuck it on here, and I sort of sliced it off. I actually got two of those kits. I got a hold of two of those Overlord kits so I could have the two scythes. And what I did was I cut them down the middle and created this unique shape here, this crescent shape, to create this completely different looking weapon. I wanted to do something. I'm not sure what made me decide I wanted to do an axe, but it was either going to be a spear or an axe or something like that. I think it was going to be the spear of the something sun or the axe of the something moon. So I went for the crescent moon, the axe of the crescent moon, and there it is. So there's a kit bashed piece of weaponry there. Swapped his head out, as I said, did some little jiggery to get all his the bits. But you can't really see it, but where his neck joins the body, I put some little bits in there to make it look normal, like all the other Necrons. But he's predominantly got the Hazmatef body there. And oh yeah, so let's talk about these guys here. And these are the spirit, what are they called? The spirit geists or spirit ghosts, ghouls or something from Age of Sigmar. It's a really cool range, the Nighthaunt range. I really love that range. So he's actually got these big swirling, and they look like they're coming out of the sand. These swirling sand ghouls, I'm calling them. The ghosts in the sand. And this would be a good time to sort of, this is, like I said, the sand of Khepri is a very strange, a very interesting composition, and the sand is alive. There are secrets in the sand, and I'll reveal all about this at a later date, but these are sort of like the spirits in the sand. And I love the way that he can sort of command the sands to his will. You know, he commands them to build stuff, to build the weapons, to build the machines, to build their buildings and stuff like that. And he can also command them like weapons as well. So they don't really have any function in game. I suppose I could kit him out with a nice relic to sort of represent what they could do, perhaps. Or maybe they could spit out and do some mortal wounds or something. But yeah, that's him commanding the sands of the planet itself to his will, and his will be done. So there he is. I'm absolutely over the moon with him. I feel like the colour schemes come out really well. The lovely. I'm really pleased with this sort of tarnished ancient gold, and the gold masks, like the brighter gold masks, like the old death masks of Egypt. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the colour scheme and how it's come out. I'm absolutely loving it. Absolutely loving this force, loving the way it's coming together. But there he is. We'll zoom back out now. But there he is, the Pharaon of Khepri dynasty, Abominar Set, father of Khepri. So that's Khepri dynasty, that's the collection coming together, that's the army so far. Absolutely loads more that I need to get for them. I really, there's something about the Necrons that makes me really want to have an absolutely huge collection of them. So yeah, just so much more that we want to get. I want to get lots more Canoptic units, another massive blob of Scarabs, more Spiders. I'd like to get 3 Doomstalkers. I really want some Wraiths. I absolutely love the Wraith models. I don't have any of those yet, so I would love some Wraiths. Warriors, got to have at least 60 warriors, haven't you? And some Immortals as well, really like the Immortals, so a couple of squads of 10 of those perhaps. More Lich Guard, I'd like at minimum a squad of 10, always with the Pharaon, but we could maybe get some more of those as well. I do actually have about, I think including those ones here, I think I've got about literally 15 Scorpec destroyers in total. So I've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I've got about 9 unbuilt and unpainted, including plus these 6. So I've got loads of destroyers. I've got some Locust. I want to get more Locust heavy destroyers. I'd like at least 6 of those. I want to get all the destroyers as well. Some of the Ophidian ones, the more snake-like ones that represent the sort of old sculpt of the Wraiths. So really want some Ophidians. I'd like a couple of Hexmark destroyers. I'm not sure if I'm that bothered about the regular destroyers. As I said, I'm just not really that keen on the models. I do have a Scorpec Lord, so I would like to make. I've got him to build, and what I really want to do is make a Destroyer Lord. But perhaps take a Locust Heavy Destroyer and kit bash him and turn him into a Destroyer Lord. So I'd like to do that as well. Maybe some more Tomb Blades, all the sort of, I'd like to get, I did have a Psychomancer, not a Psychomancer, I did have a Plasmancer. He was a bit of a test model, so I might strip all the sort of gunky paint off him and redo him. So I'd like to get one each of the different Cryptex in the Force. I've talked about it before, I really want to make my own Catan Shard, and I know exactly, I know how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to tell you about it just yet. That's going to be something very exciting to reveal another day. But yeah, I'm going to have my own Catan Shard. So I've got, yeah, just really can't wait to share that one with you. As well as that, I have to get a monolith. Monoliths are just absolutely beautiful. The new sculpt of the monolith, I just fell in love with it. It was absolutely stunning. And yeah, there's just pretty much everything that you can get in the Necron collection out there. That I just want it. I want it all, you know. So, oh, and the what they called the Doomsday Arcs as well. I'd love a Doomsday Arc or 2. So, absolutely everything that you can think of, I most likely would like to add it to this collection. And so to quickly talk about some themed forces, some themed ideas for forces that I would like to recreate. I'd love to recreate that sort of, you know, a minimum of 1,000 points worth of Canoptic units, or even up to 2,000. Have like a full Canoptic Awakening sort of style army. What I really want to do is create, again, at least 1,000, but maybe even up to 2,000. I'd love to create a pure Destroyer cult only force. So imagine like, this is like a Destroyer curse that's got its way onto a planet. There's nobody else around, it's just the Destroyers doing what they're doing. You know, there's nobody else of the other Necrons around doing what they're doing. It's just the Destroyers, led by the Scorpec Lord, the Destroyer Lord, and you know, have this battle lines worth of Scorpecs here. Some Ophidians to deep strike, a couple of hex marks to drop in, loads of heavy destroyers at the back, all that wonderful, beautiful stuff. So I'd love a Destroyer cult army, I'd love a Canoptic army, the Gold Tide, the never-ending tide, you know, all the warriors and the Immortals and the Lich Guards just marching up the board. Yeah, there's just absolutely loads of cool stuff that I want to do, themed forces-wise, for Khepri Dynasty. So it's at this point in the video where I'm going to clear the table one last time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out all the codexes, bring out all the books, and maybe bring out a few models here and there, because what I'm going to do for the rest of the video now is just talk to you about some narratives that I want to create. So there we are then. So we've taken a look We've taken a look at all the armies here, we've taken a look at all the units I have, all the units, and we've discussed all the units that I don't have and some themed forces that I'd like to create. But now we're going to be taking a little venture down narrative lane. And so why am I dedicating a whole portion of this video to discussing this? Well, it's really because this is the thing that makes me the most excited. This is the thing that keeps me so excited about this hobby. It's my favorite aspect of the hobby. It's the stories that get told. It's everything from, you know, coming up with a color scheme to naming the characters to building the force. It's all part of the narrative. It's all part of their story. You know, it's the whole creative process of building this, of creating this entity, if you like, this army. And so one of my favourite ways, one of my favourite things about the game is you know, on the tabletop, it's telling those stories, and it's thinking up stories in my head as well. So why am I telling you this? Well, it's because so the thing that I want to do most with these forces is tell these stories, and whether that's through generally one of two main mediums, and that'd either be through audiobook style narrative stories, or it'll be through battle reports. So yes, here we go then. So whether it be through audiobook style narrative videos, or whether it be through a battle report form, there are stories, there are narratives that I would like to share with you. So we'll kick it off with the Drowned Plague. I'll talk a little bit about them at first. So there's characters in the Drowned Plague that we don't know a lot about. So obviously the main two chaps, Gargorot and Tidus, and I've said before that they work as a duo. They are a pair, and they've always worked that way. So I'd love to explore that side of things more. The partnership between Gargorot and Tidus, how that began, where they've come from. I'd like to do that. I'd like to talk about that a lot. There's Tidus here, the binder of the demon Poseidon. So that's a whole little thing. The fact that he's got this demon trapped inside him. So I have thought I thought it would be really cool to do a narrative video called perhaps something along the lines of The Trident of Tidus and the Binding of the Demon Poseidon, and tell you more about Tidus and tell you his story, because Gargorot's kind of had his story of how he came to be, which was the sinking of Atlantis 4 and the rise of Gargorot Deep. So it'd be really cool to do one for Tidus and have his own thing. But yeah, and perhaps to explore that story a bit more, the story of how the two of them came to be and how the two of them joined and became the Drowned Plague. Other than that, some of the voted Virion units, especially people like Sedget Spew, the Good Doctor, the Plague Surgeon, Taliban Scribus Drench, Miasman Ooze, the Foul Blight Spawn. I'd love to be able to give voice to some of those characters as well and explore them a little bit more. But that's the kind of stuff that I could envision for audiobook stuff. And then battle report form, there are two large narratives which I'm going to talk about right at the end because I feel like they're the most important. But I've certainly got an idea of a little battle report series that I'd like to create one day, which I'm calling Drowned Faith. And so these battle reports, some of them might be my factions pitted against each other, but I've got so many wonderful friends out there, so many great friends with such beautiful armies that I want to be able to bring them onto the channel and put them in the spotlight as well. So Drowned Faith, featuring, well, I won't tell you any more about it than that, but a little something to do with the Drowned Plague and another faction, which I'm sure you can figure out. So that's stuff to talk about with the Drowned Plague. Let's go back into Forge Phobos next. So Phobos, we know a bit about Phobos from the price of acquisition and the interrogation of Inquisitor Alistair video. There are characters that I'd like to explore more of. I'd love to have Damus Terron, Manipus Borg back in voice. You know, especially Manipus Borg. I had a lot of fun creating that character and voicing that character. So I'd really love to explore some of them. Manipus could perhaps have his own story. He is the master of biosplicing, so perhaps a short little snippet of a short little something for him, perhaps. However, I am very intrigued to explore the narrative of now. Forge Phobos are the cult of fear, and they hunt and study fear. well, they hunt and study the most dangerous and feared of technologies, but they also study fear as a technology in itself, and that is kind of what the psychomancer does. He harnesses and studies fear. So I feel like that it would be wonderful if one day that Dimas Terron and Ferric Nuhir, they could have their own little romance, you know. I'd really love to do something with these two. Dimas obviously he's going to be Ferric's obviously going to be a very fascinating character for Dimas. You know, he seems to have mastered what he's been searching for and what he's been studying, so I'd quite like to do a little something where these two get involved with each other. So that would be very, very cool in a sort of audiobook style. And for battle report stuff, I'd really like to do, like I said, Arcus Covart here, he's the one who goes out, he does the hunting and stuff for the technology, so I'd love for him to lead his own little series. A long time ago, me and a friend of mine, we played a few games. We did 3 games, one after the other, and they ended up writing a bit of narrative in their own little way. And this was a little series that at the time I called Cold Data. So I'd love to revisit Cold Data. Probably wouldn't be the same as it was, but I just really liked the name. I loved the sort of the themes that were going on in this little story. So I'd love to revisit Cold Data with a guest friend, and have the AdMech lead their own little mini battle report series there as well. So that's Forge Phobos. We'll take a look at somebody else. Yeah, so moving on, we get the great company of Frostpaws here. So, well, the Space Wars, they're just absolutely made for sagas, aren't they? You know, so there's so many stories that we could tell. But so we've already had the saga of the Thunderhowl, which was the defining story of the great company of Frostpaws, and the defining story of the Jarl Mjolnir Thunderhowl himself there as well. But what I really, really enjoyed in that video was the sort of dynamic duo of Floki Firemane and Gandir Stormcrow. The fact that the pair of them probably have a huge amount of respect for each other, but they equally can't stand each other. So I absolutely loved the sort of bickering and the fact that they really just don't want to be in the same room as each other. But like I said, they probably do command a lot of respect for each other as well. So I really loved Gandir and Floki as a pair in an audiobook style story. I'd love to revisit that, maybe do something with the two of them having to work together when they'd rather not be. So that would be really cool for a story. Odin the Red Axe as well. Perhaps we could see Odin the Red Axe's story too. Perhaps we could unveil his saga. You know, I did touch on it in the video, but we could tell that story and give it the credit it deserves, or give it the effort it deserves, perhaps. But that would be cool for audiobook stuff. Loki and Gandir making a reappearance as well. For battle report styles stories that I want to tell, I've got I just absolutely love the name Sun Saga. So this is basically named after one of my favourite songs by heavy metal band Fintroll, which is called Solsagan, which translates as Sun Saga. So I'd love to create a battle report series called Sun Saga, and I'd love that the main character of that to be Floki Firemane and the Blood Claws. So all the Blood Claws in the unit have a very small sort of well, I'm not exactly sure how I would do it, but I want to call something Sun Saga, and I want to have Floki in there with the Blood Claws, and it be sort of and it follow their journey, so they get up to something there. So Sun Saga there. That for in a sort of battle report style thing, I would really love to do that one day. So that's the Frostpaws. Moving on, we've got Khepri Dynasty, of course. So now Khepri Dynasty, I haven't got as much for them here to talk about, but well, I do and I don't. You'll see in a minute. But Khepri Dynasty, they have yet to have their official lore story on the channel. They have yet to have their sort of faction-focused lore, big narrative story. Now, I am very, very, very excited to share this one with you. I've got a lot of big ideas about what I want to do with this video. Now, what's quite funny and quite interesting is that I did these audiobook style videos. Started with the Drowned Plague, and it ended up being about just over 10 minutes. And I think it went down really well, but we had 10 minutes, and then we did Forge Phobos. And it got a bit longer. We told a longer story, told a bit more in-depth story, and that ended up being half an hour long. So it's longer again, bigger again. And then we went to the Frostpaws, and we told Saga of the Thunderhowl, and what ended up turning into quite an epic, and turned out to be about a 50-minute audiobook style story. So if we're following suit here, I'm anticipating Khepri Dynasty to be the longest one I've done so far, and I can just, and with how much and the detail of what I want to tell you, I feel like that's probably going to be the case. I feel like this is the main definitive lore story that I want to tell you and that I want to put on the channel for Khepri Dynasty. I feel like it's probably going to be the most ambitious project that I've taken so far. Most certainly. There's just so much to tell about this. I do have sort of a working title for it. I haven't quite decided exactly how I'm going to name it, but yeah, I really just can't. I don't know if I'll share that with you just yet, but I can't wait to tell you more about the Children of the Morning Star. So I can't wait to tell you this story. There's a lot of layers to this, and there's a lot of significance about it, and maybe revisiting some places we've already been. I can't wait. I really can't wait. But like I said, this is going to be the Saga of the Thunderhowl. Took me about 3 months to put together. This is it's quite an ambitious one, but we'll see how we get on with that. But yeah, so the defining lore story for the Khepri Dynasty. I've got so much to tell you about it. Can't wait to share that one with you. But for battle report stuff, there is something, I'm going to talk about it in a minute, a sort of smaller focus battle report series on the Khepri Dynasty. I haven't really got anything in mind just yet. I'd really love to do something maybe with like that Destroyer cult force that I was thinking of, but yeah, I'm sure we'll come up with loads of cool ideas for that. So I'm going to talk about a couple of other little bits, and then I'm going to finish off with the Pied de Resistance. I'm going to talk about the most significant things that I wanted to share with you today, and then after that we are eventually going to wrap this video up. So if you stuck with me this far, we're almost there. I've got two very huge exciting things to talk to you about narrative wise for the factions, and then we're going to start wrapping this up. But yeah, so a couple of other things very quickly to talk about. As I said, I've got loads of wonderful friends with beautiful armies and beautiful collections that I want to be able to put in the spotlight. I've got my friend James, the Big Red Boss McKeague. He's got a beautiful Speed War army. I'd love to do a battle report series dedicated to his Speed War. I think I'll call it something like Mork's Drift. and I've got another friend of mine, Mr. Leek, who he's got a very beautiful Talon army. So the Desert Rats, I'd love to be able to do a narrative series for the Desert Rats and have them in the spotlight as well. Other than that, some characters that I've sort of name dropped in some previous stuff. So let me get out Forge Phobos here. If I cast your mind back to the price of acquisition and the interrogation of Inquisitor Alistair. So I did create the character of Inquisitor Alistair. I'd love to bring Inquisitor Alistair back, and you know what? I've been thinking about it, and I wondered if maybe this year I could even create a model for Inquisitor Alistair. I could buy a little something like a little small passion project. I could create Inquisitor Alistair, the model, paint him up, have his little retinue, and maybe we could see Inquisitor Alistair in some battle reports, too. But so that's Inquisitor Alistair, Mork's Drift, the Desert Rats, all these names I'm throwing at you. I'm sure it'll take, I hope you don't mind the sort of name dropping and the spoilers and stuff, but they're not too much of spoilers really, and it'll take me bloody forever to get around to doing these anyway, so you probably will have forgotten the names anyway. Well, there we go. So that's some extra little bits of goodness that we were thinking of doing as well. But right now I'm going to talk about the two big narratives that I want to explore. So the two big narratives, and this has to be, as I said, the Pied de Resistance. This has got to be my sort of defining stories. These have got to be the ones, you know. And what they do is, and these stories, they pit the factions against each other, you see. And so I've already talked about this before. We know Well, this is what happened when I announced the start of my Necron army, the Khepri dynasty. I told you a bit about the narrative of this, and I told you that the Forge Phobos awoke the Khepri dynasty. We know that this was all touched on in that video. It touched on in the price of acquisition and the interrogation of Inquisitor Alistair. So the Admech were after this technology. They discovered it was Necron themed, that it was Necron of origin, and what they ended up doing, they ended up going to the planet, finding Khepri, which is a tomb world, obviously, still asleep, and Forge Phobos, they wake up Khepri dynasty, and it all goes a bit precarious and a bit, a bit bolter over power sword from there. I don't know how to say this without swearing, but it all goes a bit mad and a bit crazy. But so Forge Phobos, they wake up Khepri dynasty. Khepri dynasty is awoken. There's all that story. This is a narrative that I'm calling the slaughter of Khepri. So the Forge Phobos going to Khepri, waking them up. Do they find the tech they're after? Do they not? How much of a slaughter is it? What happens on there? What happens during the slaughter of Khepri? But not only that, Khepri, the planet, and we touched on this in the We Salute the Major video, which was that Khepri is a planet in the solar system of Solamaris. Solamaris, the Star of the Sea, which is not called the Star of the Sea to the Necrons. It's Venusa. It's the morning star. So happens to be in the same solar system, and the knights, the knights, the ladies of House Siren, the knightly household, my brother's Imperial Knight army, they're the wardens of Solamaris. They're the wardens of the gates that leads into the solar system. So the Admech have snuck in. They've woken up the Necrons. The knights are there. They've got a bone to pick with the Admech. They've got the Necrons to deal with. There's so much going on. So this is a huge narrative that I want to tell, that I want to craft. I want to do a battle report series called The Slaughter of Khepri, and that is one of the big narratives that I want to discover and explore. I want the battle reports to write this narrative. I want the events of the battle reports to write the history as it's happening. So the slaughter of Khepri, the Admech, Forge Phobos versus the Necrons, Khepri dynasty, my brother's knights getting involved, and who knows what else. This thing could be huge. But so that's number one. But then we're going to talk about the second big narrative. The second defining narrative that I want to talk about. So we've got Forge Phobos and Khepri dynasty. They're in a clash on one side of the universe, and the great company of Frostpaws and the Drown Plague are going to be in a clash on the other side. So, and this, ladies and gentlemen, this all stems from the Saga of the Thunderhowl. So if you cast your mind, if you've watched the Saga of the Thunderhowl, there's a dream sequence in there where Mjolnir is having a dream, and he dreams of a great tide that washing over an icy landscape, and his pack will die, and everything's sick and dying, and he almost gets swallowed by this tide. These are all these are premonitions, basically. Mjolnir is going to be plagued by these dreams throughout his life, and they're all leading towards Gargorot. So Mjolnir and Gargorot are destined to fight. So this is quite, as you might tell, this is kind of inspired by the sort of Saga of the Beast of narrative, Ragnar Blackmane versus Ghazghkull Thraka, but this is my own one, and it's obviously not going to work in the same way. It's got to have its own story to tell. But Mjolnir and Gargorot are destined to fight. They are destined to meet. And who knows where this is going to? Who knows how this is going to happen? Who knows where this will happen? Who knows what's going to lead them down this path? Who knows what collateral damage will happen along the way? But all we know is that Mjolnir will be plagued by these dreams, and they're all leading to tell him that he needs to find this great beastie here. The two of them need to fight, And so I haven't worked out exactly all the ins and outs of it. All I know is that these two are destined to fight. The slaughter of Khepri, the Admech versus the Necrons is going to be a narrative that starts with a big fight, you know, and then the sort of like a big stone dropping in a pond and loads of ripples effects afterwards, whereas this is going to be slightly the other way around. This is almost like ripples coming in to form then a big splash. So the big fight happens at the end of this narrative, if that makes sense. So maybe I'm getting too carried away with waffling here, but I'm just really excited. I want to share everything with you here for this special video. But yeah, Mjolnir and Gargarot, they're destined to fight, you know. So that journey. Oh, and this, so this narrative, this is a little something I'm referring to as the road to Valheim. The road to Valheim. So maybe Valheim is where it will happen. Gargarot and Mjolnir will meet, but that's a whole another narrative there for you. So this is all happening. The Space Wolves, the Death Guard, they're fighting each other, and again, the Major's armies are going to get involved. Maybe he's got a small collection of Thousand Sons, so maybe the Thousand Sons will have something to do with all of this, or his Cadians will get involved to support the Space Wolves, because they've got a lot of beef with the Death Guard. They go all the way back. Joseph, my brothers, the Major, his Cadians and my Death Guard, they've been fighting each other for years. So there we go, guys and girls. Those are the two big narratives, my two big stories, my two big arcs that I want to explore, my two big war zones that I want to create. We've got the Slaughter of Khepri, and we've got the Road to Valheim. And so there we go then. So this has been a monumental video for me to make. It has literally taken me 2 afternoons and 2 evenings to put all this together. But I hope it's been worth it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know I waffle so much. I know I've been talking and talking and talking. But if you have stuck with me to the end, I hope you've enjoyed everything. I hope you've enjoyed the showcases of all the different armies, seeing all the different units out there. If you want some closer looks at some of the models, check out the showcase videos on the channel. But I hope you've enjoyed seeing all the models, me talking about units that I want to get, themed forces that I want to do, and I hope you've enjoyed the little discussion at the end here about narratives that I want to create, be that through audiobook styles, videos, or through narrative battle reports at some point in the future. So there we are then. I am finally going to wrap this video up. Tell me down in the comment section below, what are you most excited about? Did you enjoy the video? What aspect of the video did you enjoy the most? Who's your favourite faction? If you could join one, who would you fight alongside? Which bit of narrative are you most excited about? What do you want to see on this channel? Tell me everything down below, and we'll have a nice little chat about it down there. Check out the channel sponsors, Bristol Independent Gaming, to support me and to support them. Use the code WinterWizard10 in the checkout for your 10% off and your free postage on £50 or more. And if you have enjoyed the video today, then a like and a comment would be very, very much appreciated. And of course, if you'd like to see more of what goes on here inside the Frozen Fortress, then perhaps you'll also consider becoming a subscriber. And once again, whoever you are, thank you very, very much for joining me today. I'm Winter Wizard. That's Dimmu, and for now, keep it frosty.